Hey, first, I'd just like to thank both of you for coming here to Minneapolis to visit the Pentair office. But more importantly, I'd like to thank all of the listeners out there. We are very dedicated to the pool business. Our people in the field and in customer service in our factories have grown up in the pool business. We have a tremendous loyalty to every man and woman out there who is making their living working in the pool trade. And it's a huge dedication for us to support the business, to make everybody successful. And I just want to thank everybody for listening, and thanks for your patronage. I look forward to still earning your business in the field and being the best supplier that we possibly can.
Welcome to your go-to podcast for the pool and spa industry. My name is Tyler Rasmussen.
And my name is Greg Villafania. And this is the Pool Chasers Podcast. What's going on, Pool Chasers? And thank you so much for joining us today on episode 63 of the Pool Chasers Podcast. As always, our mission is to help educate and inspire in the form of a podcast. We are very proud to announce that Pentair has joined us as a supporter and sponsor of the show. We had the honor of going to Pentair headquarters in Golden Valley, Minnesota this past week, where we got the grand tour of the building, met the team, and most importantly, recorded this episode with Damon Wiggins and Steve Zorn.
Yeah, we had a great conversation with them where we got to know Damon and Steve a little bit better and their backgrounds with Pentair. We also got into some of Pentair's history, their transition into aquatics, and some of the other brands that they've acquired which fall under the Pentair name. One of the cool things I really enjoyed was the conversation about building the Pentair brand and reputation. We also jump into some of the products that they make and their partnerships with the Twins and Vikings sports teams. This talk was very fun, educational, and inspiring for any entrepreneur listening. So let's jump right into the conversation.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Can you guys introduce yourself to us and our listeners?
Yes. My name is Damon Wiggins. I'm the Vice President of the Pool Business Unit for Pentair. And I've been with Pentair for 9 years and really excited to be on the air with you today at Pool Chasers. You know, my responsibility is I lead the pool business, focused on the strategy and then the P&L responsibility for the business unit overall.
Nice. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
And I'm Steve Zorn. I'm Vice President of Sales for Pentair. I joined PacFab in 1993, so I've been here 26 years. Had just a great career with Pentair and the pool business, and really excited to kind of share some of our vision with Pentair with you today. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, that's very cool. I know we were just talking about that. You know, that history is so rich. We're really looking forward to hearing about all that. So maybe we can just, really go back to the very beginning, back in, 1966 when it all got kicked off. Maybe you can share some of that history with us.
Yeah, so Pentair was founded in 1966 in St. Paul, Minnesota, by 5 entrepreneurs, hence the name, the first part of the name, Penta. And then they had a focus on developing manufacturing high altitude balloons. And and so that's where the air came from, hence Pentair put together. And that's the name of the company. So that's what happened, along with the focus on air. And then that allowed them to actually put the name together, Pentair.
Oh, that is so awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, so Pentair, just a little bit about the organization overall. It's a $3 billion company, and it's really been focused on transitioning to the water side of the business. And we want to provide smart, sustainable solutions in water to protect people, to allow them to enjoy their experience in water.
Nice.
Part of the Pentair vision over the years, they acquired many companies. And then our focus in 1986, 20 years after the company was formed, we made several acquisitions. And that put us in several spaces around paper mills, power tools. And then after making some of those decisions, we actually decided to actually move towards the water space. So we had several acquisitions. In 1999 and 2004, the SF and the Wycor industry acquisition actually got us deeper into the water side of the business.
And on the pool side, SF was the parent corporation for PacFab and Stark Commercial Filters. And Wycor, if you don't know that name, was Stay Right. So 2 really good acquisitions in the pool space.
Okay. And where was all this being manufactured back then? Do you have any idea? Was it still back in North Carolina?
Yeah. So SF was PacFab in North Carolina, Sanford, North Carolina. That was where Pacific Fabrication, which was the Tagulous filters, the Triton sand filters, the Challenger pumps. And they did Stark up in Chardon, Ohio, I believe. And then Whitecore was at Wisconsin. It was the Wisconsin utility that owned Stay Right. So it was a kind of a combination of a couple different factories across the United States.
Okay. Why was it started in general? Do you guys have any idea, even for the pool sector, what that looked like back in the, mid-late 60s, as far as like building, filters and pumps and different things like that? Because obviously it's nowhere near what it is today.
Yeah, no, it was a very kind of small industry at the time. On PacFab, we used a lot of fiberglass. So fiberglass filter tanks, the sand filters at the time. You had other manufacturers in there, SwimQuip, which was prior to Stay Right. They had the spin filter. They had, if I really go back a little before my time, I remember a brand, the Macintosh, which are like the coffin filters that were in the decks. You saw some of those in Southern California at the time.
Oh, that's really interesting.
So people were just making their own components way back in the 60s as kind of the pools started gaining speed in Southern California and in Arizona as, kind of the economy started ramping up.
Right. That's really cool. I never heard of that before, being in the actual deck.
Yeah. There's still some of those old pools where people were just making their own solutions before companies started, becoming kind of solutions for them. And PacFab was one of the early pioneers at the time. And we had a facility in Los Angeles and El Monte, but we did most of the manufacturing in Sanford, North Carolina, which we still have today. It's a great factory for us today.
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy. We used to see a lot of those pieces in the field still, like the brass pumps and some of those old filters, and it's like an industrial piece of equipment. I can't believe that they've been out here for, 40 plus, 30, 40 years. It's pretty incredible that they've really sort of stood the test of time when a lot of stuff is barely making it through, that 5-year mark.
Yeah, those brass pumps, they were rather inefficient, but they were almost like a garbage disposal. You could put anything through them and they would just grind away. And if a homeowner maintained their water chemistry and never corroded any of that bronze impeller and all that, they could last a long time. But they make a lot of noise on the side of the house, and a lot of opportunity to get people into better solutions today.
It's kind of funny when we have customers who would try to really tell us no, I want to keep that pump. Like, why would you want to keep that pump? Because it never does me wrong or something. You got the older generation. You're like, that pump is, they didn't keep it. If they didn't keep it well, it turns that weird blue green color.
That's right.
It's kind of like this thing is on its last leg. No, it's good. It's been here for as long as I've had the house for 40 years. And you're like, there's so much better now.
Yeah. And most of those pools had 1.5-inch copper plumbing and, very inefficient from a flow standpoint, like we know today with energy efficiency and flow. And there's so many things we could do better today, but some of those old pools just kept chugging along.
Yeah. It's really an antique. I just want to put that thing over my, fireplace or something.
Yeah.
That thing is pretty cool. Some people listening to this might think I'm crazy, but hey, a little piece of history.
You
right
like
there.
history stuff. So can you tell us a little bit of the history about the transactions that have taken place throughout Pentair's?
Yeah, in the pool space?
Yeah.
So I joined PacFab in 1993. And at that time, when I went to work for PacFab, I asked, why should I come to work for PacFab? And I was told at that time by the people at PacFab that we have a vision to be a one full-line supplier and a top quality brand of everything that's available for a homeowner on their pool pad. So we wanted to get into pumps, filters, heaters, lights, automation, make it easier for the service trade, make it easier for the builders, and make it kind of a one-stop supplier for quality solutions. And they said also at that time, they were talking to Purex. And Purex was a manufacturer in Southern California. PacFab was in the Sun Belt, and Purex brought along the Minimax heater at the time. They had lights and they had some automation. So I said, sounds like a fantastic vision. And it's funny, that was 1993. And then we started kind of rolling up a lot of the smaller companies who were there to build a bigger brand. And the vision of Pentair today is still to offer high quality solutions so you can enjoy your water, so you can move your water, so you have safe water. And it's kind of that same vision in 1993 that we bought into at PacFab at the time. The growth of us at the time in the pool space was 1994. We picked up Purex, so we had a full line. Then our next acquisition was Compool, which put us on the map with automation, which has been a phenomenal add-on. Then we picked up American Products. And with them, not only did they have a great brand and were really large in the lighting business, but a great pump and filter line as well, and a fantastic Moore Park facility, which today is still one of our top Pentair worldwide manufacturing facilities. It's just a great place to build pool equipment.
Where's that one at?
That's in Moore Park, California, just north of Los Angeles.
Okay.
So that was the American Products factory at the time, and is really just first-to-class modern-day manufacturing for us to build our products here in the U.S. And then after that, we got into the cleaner business with Creepy Crawly and Letro, picked up Wycor, which was Stay Right, and that got us the new technology on the Stay Right heaters that we have today, which are Master Temp and the MaxiTherms. They were low NOx at the time. So that was a pivotal point for us for our evolution. And then we got a little more into the commercial business with Accutrol on the high-end controllers. And we had picked up Stark filters through SF. We had picked up the C-Series commercial pumps through Purex. So now we have a full solution for residential and commercial. It's been just a great kind of ramp up of all the products. And probably the most pivotal thing we did is we were acquired by Pentair in 1999, and that just solidified us in our pool business. Pentair believed in us. They invested in the pool business. They loved our space. They loved how we interact with our customers. And what we did in the year 2000 is we had a combination of a lot of different brands. We had the Compool and the Purex and American Products and the Stay Right. And we used to joke amongst ourselves, we were like NASCAR with all these different logos. But we needed to crystallize into one. So we picked up the Pentair brand of pool products and got together, started marketing ourselves as the full line Pentair solution in the pool space for the homeowners, and built a really top quality, highly recognized brand in the pool business.
Right. Thank you so much. So I am a little bit curious, when, a company gets acquired by Pentair, what is really changing? Does that mean that now products are going to be developed at your facility? So maybe there's going to be better, materials used. I mean, what really goes into that? Because, I think as professionals, we kind of look at it and it can be a little bit confusing. And I don't think everyone always knows the fine details and why you would even want to, we make assumptions like, oh, they got bought out. And it's like, well, what does that really, mean exactly? Because it seems like it's a good move on both ends.
Yeah. So if you think about Pentair, it brought a lot more scale. The breadth of Pentair, the buying, purchasing power of an organization of that size allowed us to really put a more focus on the pool business, as we saw it was a great opportunity for growth. So we had great processes around innovation, new product development, manufacturing facilities where you can share the scale of those facilities in your development process. So that allowed us to really put more focus in the business. You're also able to add resources at a faster pace and a clip. And that allows us to really look for opportunities to expand a business when it's bought into Pentair. And also the global reach of Pentair is also significant. We are a company that operates in numerous countries, over 50 countries across the world. We have 10,000 employees. So that just tells you our reach and ability to expand in a business. So that's when we're able to bring a business into Pentair and really look at expanding and really focus on growth.
And just to add that, on the sales side of it, what I love when we pick up acquisition is the people that come along with it. We pick up some phenomenal people in the field, people inside, engineers, research and developers who have that intimate knowledge of their product line, which is different than what we had before. So it's an acquisition not just of some great brands and some great facilities, but also some great people. And that's kind of all added to our DNA that makes who we are.
Right. And do most of these, when Pentair acquires another company, is there usually like kind of the Pentair stamp, on their box?
Well, we do have a Pentair integrated management system that whenever we bring a business in, we do try to implement certain processes in those businesses. And then once we kind of get that in place, we also like to keep some of the entrepreneurial aspects of those previous businesses, because when we acquire a business, we usually see some nice glimmers of potential. And we don't want to steal or take those away. We want them to also grow along with the processes that we bring to actually enhance that. So I think that's one of the things we really try to focus on, keeping the spirit of both entrepreneur and the reach and the scale of Pentair that can be brought.
Right.
And we we love to be the expert for the trade in the field. The trade in the field, whether it's a builder or service pro, they need expert advice, expert opinion. They need to know how to install products. And what I love about every acquisition that we did, it was kind of a fresh catalog for us. All of us would have to go back to school and learn that product because we were going to be the experts for it. And as we kind of had a journey of growing in the pool business and becoming a leader, it's a great opportunity for us to learn and be better and learn and be better and to figure out solutions for customers, to figure out the products that I might not have known before. And it's really just helped us kind of be individual experts, in the field with our customer base.
Talking about education a little bit, do you guys find it a little bit difficult to maybe take on some of these brands when you guys are acquiring other brands, or even just when you guys are developing new products, to have to build education for each individual and then kind of just put it out? Because that's got to be difficult, especially in the US and North America. There's only so many salespeople. There's only so many representatives that can, teach these classes and do different things. So you guys find that a little bit tricky?
I find it a wonderful challenge. And I'll give you a couple examples. The first example that kind of changed the way we view the pool business in Pentair was the IntelliFlow variable speed pump. That was one of those technologies that when it first came out, a lot of people thought, I can't sell a $1,000 pump. It just doesn't make sense to me. And we had to, number one, show the advantages to ourselves, believe in the energy efficiency curves on that. And then once we believed in ourselves, which we do, went out and basically how to teach the trade how to sell energy efficiency, how to program it properly, how to work with the utilities and the rebates, and how to use the vision that the utilities saw to get that grounded to our pool consumers and the pool service trade. So we as a company had to take on the burden to teach the trade energy efficiency with the IntelliFlow pump. And we still do today. There's some regions where, energy efficiency isn't as popular because
it doesn't cost as much money.
Doesn't cost as much, but you still have to teach that. And I think we're at the threshold now of into the IoT spaces where it's a lot of connected devices and Wi-Fi. That's a category that some highly technical people know, but most of the people who are working on pool equipment are not yet comfortable there. So that's a burden on us as a manufacturer to learn it, to understand it, to know how to teach it, to get in the backyards with the service pros, teach them about Wi-Fi connectivity, about Wi-Fi extenders when you need them, because those type of products are here to stay. Consumers are demanding more of them. More will be coming out. And I think it's on Pentair and on all of our reps, we're all learning it to be the experts on Wi-Fi connectivity here in the near future.
I'm glad you said that because, technology is just speeding up faster every single day. And you as a company, you have a responsibility to keep up with those changes. Unfortunately, back being in the service industry, it is really difficult to keep up with so many different, manufacturer brands and the technology and different things like that. We hope to, always see the education grow and become better, because I think as technology grows, the way that education gets taught should grow with it. Maybe there's a new way to get that education out there in the open.
Yeah, we have put a lot of time over the years into our Pentair Universities, which are more in-person and hands-on training, especially for our technicians, service professionals out there. But we do believe in the future, we've got to get more creative around social media, whether that's through, as we say here today, podcasts, YouTube, other avenues to actually communicate out to service companies to let them know, one, what new products are coming, how those products can be utilized, and why that product would enhance the experience for the consumer. So we want to make sure that we're communicating those things, but we're going to have to do that in much more of a digital marketing type of communication with enhancements to our current training methods that we have today.
Yeah, and we're really excited to talk about all those things with you guys, especially now and in the future, everything down to even sales. Talked about sales quite a bit and how, the more educated you are on a product and how to have that conversation with a customer, it's just going to make you that much more comfortable and confident to be in that backyard and just do what you need to do.
Back to the acquiring, when you guys do that, do you usually try to keep those brands' names on things as well to get that brand recognition and also incorporate Pentair with those for the most part?
Yeah, we're very conscious of the loyalty that the brand brings with it. All of the brands we've picked up have had a good, loyal following of their brands and of their products. And so it's always been a wonderful add-on of additional business for us, additional customers, and additional responsibility for us to maintain that brand and the quality and to support it moving forward.
Yeah.
So it's been a really positive thing for us at Pentair.
Yeah, I like what you said about like not crushing the entrepreneur spirit, because obviously somebody, had that vision and created that company, and I'm sure, selling that is not easy. I mean, you get a nice paycheck, but you lose you're afraid you'll lose some of that like creative vision and control, and you don't want to like crush that either, because there's a reason that you bought the company, right? You liked all that stuff. So it's really cool.
I'm sure there are always some attractive things that we saw in the company as we're doing that due diligence and seeing where their place in the marketplace is. And we want to make sure as we bring them in, one, they have that entrepreneurial spirit, but we also want to integrate. As you've seen and probably recognize, you see a lot more of Pentair out in the marketplace and trying to become that one brand also. So you'll see a lot of, in some cases, co-branding with a smaller brand below Pentair. But we also want that recognition so that people understand who Pentair is and where we're going for the future, and that we're here to solve problems around water for our consumers.
So we talk a lot about on the podcast about like policies and procedures and putting those in place. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about too, is when Pentair takes over, you have a successful $3 billion company. And obviously there's been things that have been established to make this company run well. So you put those things in place with these new companies, right?
Yes. And I think one of the biggest things is our operational processes. I mean, we have over the years become a very successful manufacturing company, and we have processes to make sure we streamline our inventory management, how we actually produce products, and we want to bring that to a smaller business. One, that helps them scale, become very efficient, have more productivity, and at the end of the day, make them more profitable. So that's really a big piece when we bring a company in to teach them those things that may not be in the forefront of what they've done in the past. And that comes from years of experience that we've had, great leaders, great operational people who've been in place and really worked on improving our productivity and speed to produce product.
Right. I think it's really important, and we talk about it when we ran our business, like as time went on, we really wish we had like established a lot of those policies and put things in place in the very beginning, because we grew quickly and we were always trying to recover, and it was difficult at that point. So what we try to encourage with people running small businesses is really try to figure out policies and procedures, because that's how small companies become big companies, because things are being done strategically correct and from the very beginning.
Correct.
So Jobber is constantly updating and adding new features to their software. That's one of the things we like most about them. As technology changes, so do our customers. We're happy that Jobber is always on top of it. And now for your update on what's new on Jobber.
Ladies and gentlemen, and I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
When running a pool service business, and if you're using software to do that, it's very important that you be able to import your client list into that software. Well, Jobber offers this service, and now with their newest update, they have made that process even smoother. So you'll find it much more easy now to import your CSV file and clean up the data, troubleshoot errors so that you can import more successfully more often. If you want to learn more about this feature and the CSV imports, please visit the Help Center. And if you're not yet using Jobber and you'd like to try it out, please go to getjobber.com/poolchasers. That's getjobber.com/poolchasers, or click the link below and you can get 20% off your first 6 months.
So what do you think are some of the biggest struggles throughout the years, and what were some of the outcomes?
Some of the biggest struggles is getting the brand out there and when we established the Pentair brand, getting that brand out there as far as an established brand, because we had a mix of different brands together. And I think we overcame it. But I think that's something that we need to keep developing as we're trying to get that brand closer to the consumer, so that when the pool service pro is out there talking about Pentair, the consumer recognizes that brand and makes the sale and the upsell easier. And I think in all of Pentair, we've got that challenge now and that opportunity to get more of a consumer awareness out there of all the Pentair brands, because the other Pentair divisions are labeling themselves now Pentair rather than some of the different local brands. And it's a great opportunity for us. It's a challenge, and it's something that we've got to work kind of 24 hours a day to keep that brand out there.
Most definitely. I think the way that we always perceived Pentair was that you guys don't just think of a product, like you guys go through R&D and then just kind of put it out in the market. You guys actually took your time. I think sometimes that can be looked at as like you're trying to talk about brand awareness and have your name out there, but you are actually taking your time, where maybe your competitor is just kind of, and you might have thought of it first, but they're just kind of hucking it out there.
Yeah.
And always respected that you guys, what it looks like anyways, that you really take your time to make sure that a product is the best it possibly can be before putting it out there. Do you guys see that as a...
just piggybacking off a little bit of what Steve said around the brand is important to us. And when we make those decisions, it's important when we go through the innovation process that we get a lot of voice of our consumer, voice of our customers to better understand what is the right product for us to put out into the market. And the challenge today, as we talked about a minute ago, is technology is moving so quick. And we could get in a position sometimes where it's moving so fast, you could be pushed to put something out too quickly. But we stay disciplined in our process around our 3D process, discover, develop, deploy, before we put something out there. And we do significant testing so that when a product reaches our customer, they can have confidence that it's been tested, it's going to be a great quality product. But that does present itself with challenges, because many times we would like to be first to market, but we want to make sure we do our due diligence. And that is most important to us, because we want to make sure our customers are confident in the product that we put out there, which goes back to the brand. If you do that, your brand will be sustainable and powerful for many years, because people will trust you.
And something we've done recently in the past couple of years is we opened up and invested in an innovation lab, which is our engineering kind of incubation center in North Carolina, near our factory there. And it's where our engineers are, and we call it innovation lab because they're the ones who are searching and kind of scraping the world for new technologies that could be applied to the pool business, but also vetting out some of the new product development that comes from our customer base, comes from our salespeople in the field, comes from our service managers in the field, comes from homeowner ideas, to kind of figure out what solutions work well, can be sustained, people will actually buy, solve problems, and how do we develop those so that when we launch them, they're already vetted out and they're solid, and we stand behind them in the field to stand behind our customers who install them.
Yeah, I think, we were talking earlier, and that's really why we loved installing Pentair equipment, because we always knew that when we put it in the backyard that it was going to be really good for years and years and years, and you weren't going to have customer callbacks on things all the time. And that goes to what we talk about all the time, is really saving the business owner time and money. Is going out there to do a service call or doing these things takes away from all that. When you install a brand like Pentair and like the IntelliFlow, and like when you know that pump's going to work, it's just a nice peace of mind, and that it's a product that's gonna last. And like Greg said, we really appreciate, and if you are using Pentair stuff, I'm sure you appreciate it as well, that it's like you guys do take that time, because we heard about the IntelliCenter years ago, and we're gonna come out with the IntelliCenter, and it's coming, and then you're like, oh, it's still working on these things, but like it's really good to know when it comes out, and it does come out finally, that it's not going to have problems, because I know some other automation things have come out from competitors that have been difficult to kind of be out in the field and trying to learn these things while nobody knows how to fix it because it hasn't happened yet. And it's like, all right, well, I need to fix it for my customer, but you don't really know how to fix it. But when you guys put out a product, like it's mostly ready, and obviously there are some things will still come up here and there, but
nothing's perfect. Right. But at the same time, even with that being said, we're committed to making sure that what we put out, we support, because and I think that's the other part that you see, Steve and his team, the intimacy that they have with our customers when they go out, introduce these products, and make sure that one, there's an awareness, understanding of how to install, any things that to be careful of, and make sure that we're addressing any of those concerns to make sure we're going to have success in the future. And if not, we stand behind it. And I think that is probably the other very important piece, is that we not only put a product out there, but we want to make sure we support it. And if there's something wrong with it, we're going to make sure we come out and fix it.
And Tyler, IntelliCenter is a great example of that. So that's something where the technology was moving very quickly. There was, some need to get something in the market for the technology, but we weren't ready yet. And by that, I mean us in the field, the people who vetted it in the field for testing it, it wasn't ready yet. So we backed up, we redesigned the things that need to be redesigned. And again, that's a fast moving business. And we made sure it was ready. And when we launched it, we were ready to go. We could stand behind it. Our people in the field are ready. They are confident now. And I think you'll see great things on the IntelliCenter here in the next couple of years.
Right. And it's pretty crazy because if the market's not ready for it, you might think that like, oh, this just didn't do well because it's not a good product. But that really might not be the case. It might have been bad timing. You know what I mean? Because everybody's trying to learn the last product that you put out. And it's like, no, it's actually going to do amazing. It just wasn't timed right. A little bit more time, if you would have held on to it a little bit longer and then pushed it out, it would have done that much better. But it's really, it's difficult because we all have a job to do,
And that's been interesting for me. As I mentioned, I've been in different parts of Pentair, different businesses, and you have to kind of get a feel for the cycle of how long a product is going to kind of be in the market before it's time to bring that new one out. And that's a learning process because, as customers get comfortable with what they're working with, that's what they're going to install. So we have to be careful not to be too fast and make sure we have a good cadence of products coming every so often. And that makes sure that we're touching each category, whether it's automation, pumps, filters, heaters. We have something that we're touching every so many years, bringing those products out. And we want to keep that consistent. And there's a lot of work that goes between Steve, our marketing team, our product managers, and the regionals that really get out and hear the voice of the customer, really get out into these trade associations to understand what the need is. And if we're not putting a product out there that's solving a need, then we're wasting our time. So we want to make sure we're always hitting the mark there. And that also takes a lot of time, just doing that, discovering where we should be investing and developing. And then as you do that, then you're going to have a much more successful product in the future.
And if our installers don't have a great experience the first time they try one of our new products, they're not going to try it again. So the installers have to have a great experience and their homeowners have to have a great experience. Otherwise, we just miss the mark and you lose that forever. So we're conscious of that.
That's good you're conscious of that because that's definitely true. And I mean, it probably shouldn't be, but we were the same way. If we installed something and it was very difficult to install, or and that might have been our fault. We just didn't get educated enough. But either way, it's if you have a bad experience or a customer does, you're kind of like, I'm not going to try that again.
and it's our responsibility to educate you right out of the chute, or make it that easy to install. Yeah, absolutely.
Because you have to build, your process, and there has to be steps. Everything from when you're selling it, installing it, leaving the paperwork, and discussing rebates and warranties. And if that all goes smooth and you dial that in just the way that it needs to be, I mean, we had on our calendar when these rebates would stop, so that we knew that when we were out doing initial bids or repair bids and different things like that, like do not discuss this after this, after this date and different things like that. But if you really figure all those things out, like you get comfortable with your manufacturers and things like that, which we always liked your guys' warranty program, that really helps, because it's really unfortunate to go through all of that like you installed a good set of equipment, did all the things you need to do, and then you drop the ball on the warranty stuff. They're like, oh, I thought you were going to do it. I thought you were going to do it.
Right.
Oh, it never got done. Oh, okay. But that is, I think just as important, because sometimes, that $100 to $200 could, mean a lot to the homeowner, where it's like, dude, I went in this direction because of that,
Right.
That's a big part of, like, when you were talking about selling $1,000 pump earlier, that's a big part of it for a lot of people, that rebate.
It sure is. And that's one of the keys for the service pros as you're out there doing your podcasts. That's the added value, intangible things that the service pro needs to keep that homeowner up front and in mind of, so that they're a valuable part for that homeowner.
Yeah. And I think as a pool service company and even builders, and when you take on a new product that you feel comfortable with, you should build some type of process for each product, because when you're trying to sell it to a customer, if you don't know the benefits and the features of it and how it works and all the warranty and everything with that certain product, you're probably going to have not the greatest experience with it, because the customer might have not liked the way you sold it, or you didn't sell it well enough so that the customer understood what it was. So every time we tried to we have discussions as partners on are we going to install this? Yes, we're going to install it. Okay, well, how are we pitching it to the customer? How are we explaining it to them? Which type of circumstances is going to be put on and which one's not? So really, as going out there and bidding stuff, you would know then, all right, well, if they're going to get this is how it works. And then transitioning that into the installation department of our company, being like, well, this is how it works, teaching them, educating them, showing them how to do it, and teach. And they're going to be the ones that are probably teaching the customers. So show them how to teach the customer. Like, all of that is a huge responsibility as a business owner. And if you're installing new products and you don't do that, you're not doing the customer justice, and you're not doing the product justice, because you're not giving it enough time to really, play out.
I agree. And I think that's an important piece for us to also help engage in that space. We're working on a lot of marketing to help provide those value proposition. It's the value proposition not only to our customer, but helping our customer give a value proposition to that homeowner, helping them to become very comfortable as they're talking about that new product or a service that they're going to provide. So that's something that over the next year or so, we're going to invest more in and work with our partners to help share that, so they can have those opportunities in the backyard and make that easier for them, because you spend a lot of time developing that pitch and understanding exactly what you're going to say. What is that value? And that's a lot of work for you. Mm-hmm. So if we can provide that, then that's going to be a exceptional service that we provide to our partners and make their job easier. And that's what we're here to do, is actually make their life and their job easier. So you'll see more of that. And I would encourage, if they have suggestions around products or scenarios that they would like help on, let us know, because we will spend time to help develop that material to make them more successful.
Thank you so much.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. I mean, but it is real work. Can't tell you how many times we had this might sound crazy to some people, but talking in the mirror, talking in the car on the way to work, talking on the way to the bid, learning different vocabulary, doing all these different things, learning your parts. You have to do all those things. That's what's going to separate your business from the other business, is that you are comfortable. I can't, every time showed up to initial bid, sitting in front of the house, looking at every little thing out there. Oh, they're a Vikings fan. They're a veteran.
Absolutely.
They're this, they're that. And then having all those, conversations with them. And then before you know, it's like, you know what? We don't got to walk around the side. Why don't you come through the house? Like, oh my gosh, thank you. Beautiful home. Of course, right? And you're breaking all those defenses down, and then you get back there and it's like, all right, well, here's the pool, blah, blah, blah. It makes it so much easier to really dive into all the things back there as a professional would. And then with all the confidence in the world, say, this is what's going on and this is what you need. And if you move forward with this, these are the features and the benefits. And this is how you're going to come up on top, And if you're confident and you can go through that whole, process, I mean, at the end, it was like, you could do it with your eyes closed, and we always came out on top. But it wasn't like we just knew our stuff, and we weren't being slick salesmen or anything back there. We were just doing our part. You called us. You didn't call us because, you thought we were going to come out here and give you some free advice.
Yep.
Maybe they did, but
but there was a confidence you had to learn and how to address the homeowner. And you weren't just selling a product, you were selling yourselves, you're selling your experience, you're selling their experience in their backyard, solutions for them. And everybody does it a little different, but there was a confidence you had. And we're at Pentair, we're taking that same thought and plan on doing some skill training for the trade on that confidence with some great peer examples. Not us telling how to do it, because you learned how to do it in the backyard. That's different than what we do when we're with you in the backyard. But taking that experience that you have learned and some really, really successful people in this business have learned, and how to get that across to others.
Well, that's how you really take your business from being like cleaning pools to a like pool service repair legitimate company. And not that just cleaning pools can't be, but that's how you take the next step, is understanding all of that stuff, because equipment sales and repairs, that's really where a lot of the money is in running one of these businesses. So being able to, we understood that from the very beginning. And that was, if we get opportunity to be in that backyard, we're going to make the most of the opportunity. And that's, like you said, not being slick salesmen, but even if the pump sounds like it's going to go bad or old, we're not trying to say you need to replace that now, but we're explaining benefits of it. And we're saying, all right, well, in the next 6 months to a year, it's probably going to go out, and this is what we do when that happens, call us. Or, explaining like what condition these certain pieces look like they're in, and giving them the opportunity to buy into it. And we always talked about with not trying to spend somebody else's money. You don't know, even when we walk into their house, you don't know how big their bank account is, or what they're willing to spend, how important stuff like that is to them, good quality things are. To understand that part and take your business to the next level, that's what you have to do. And back to the products, like, we would talk too, we'd try to install something, or it would be, hey, they didn't go for this. Like, why didn't they go for it? What was their excuse not to buy it? Right. And then we would try to work on it together. Like, all right, well, if that was the excuse and maybe we pitched it wrong, maybe we pitch it like, this. And, that sometimes that will really work when you figure out, okay, and every market is different. In Phoenix, we have thousands and thousands of pools. So, it's a little bit different than some place like Minnesota or other places where there's not a whole lot of that. So you got to really understand your market as well. But.
Yeah. We're really looking forward to it, because that's just, one less thing that, people might have to worry about, because things are changing so much that you think that's complicated. Like even marketing for your business. I know a lot of people think that things are going to stay the way they are, the way that they have been, but things are going to change dramatically, especially for home service businesses, in terms of SEO and Amazon and Google and all these different things. There's some big changes coming up that it would be nice to put a little bit more thought into that, and, getting help from, companies like Pentair to be like, hey, we got you on this sales stuff, and here's some of the processes to really help you. So, because starting from scratch, is pretty difficult on top of actually knowing the actual product itself. So,
and consumers are demanding more. Consumers are ramping up quicker for their education and for their information. Our business has to ramp up quicker than they're ramping up, and we need to be on top of that for them, so that they have the information and can still, get the solutions for the installation.
They want Amazon to have a drone drop that IntelliFlow off within an hour.
That's right.
And plummet in.
That's right.
And leave it on their doorstep and then drone off to wherever it goes. That's where we're going.
But there's so much value for the installer there. They just have to point out that value to the homeowner, because Amazon can install that for a proper solution for the homeowner, and the people in our business can. We've got to encourage them to make sure that added value to the homeowner is fit.
Yeah.
Right.
Because, guys, technology is not going away. It's only going to expand more. Internet's not going away. It's only going to expand more. And we want to show our service companies, our partners, our professionals, how to be successful in this environment. Because the reality is we're going to have to allow them to market better, show who they are, show why they are providing value. And I think that's something you're going to see from us do more of. Not run from the internet, but show you how to be successful with it.
Right.
That's a whole nother podcast for sure.
Yeah.
But we there's a lot of stuff that goes into running a business that way, and we've talked about it. But it's hard to make a transition though when you're used to doing something one way and then changing over. So for established businesses, it is difficult to change your whole entire, way of doing things. But
But that's what makes great companies great.
Right.
Are the ones that have that adapt or die mentality.
Mm-hmm.
We know service companies that the owners, maybe 70 years old, but they're up on technology because he's like, oh, things change. So do I. So do we. And that's what I think, like I said, a great business does is they're looking at the market and they're seeing things change. And they're like, well, this isn't the first time we've had to switch things up.
Right. And I think it's key is you don't have to go it alone. That's where we as a partner can help is we want to provide those tools, services, and techniques. Come to us. Let us know what you need. We are prepared to invest and help our dealers as we move forward. So it's not somewhere they have to charter and go on their own, and we're here to help.
See, and that's amazing because hearing you say that, we've talked about this a lot, we seriously felt like we were all alone. Like we had never ran a business by ourselves, and we definitely had never run a business that was becoming successful. It was on the up and up, and there were so many things that we didn't know that we had to figure out the hard way. And we think that there's a lot of companies out there learning the hard way right now. And if there's, some sort of home base that they can go to kind of, learn how to do things the right way, I think, that would be amazing. And hopefully, we get through this, there'll be some kind of resource or something that, they can, connect with you guys on.
You bet.
Yeah. And I think the advantage we have, we talk about our scale. I mean, we're interacting with thousands of dealers. Therefore, and we can share key learnings from a dealer in one state that may apply to another state and successes or even failures in some cases. Here's something to look out for. So that's the power that we also bring is being able to share that insight and knowledge that if you're just only doing things on your own, you wouldn't have.
Right. And you guys are just like a mega business. I mean, in aquatics in general. So you've seen all these different, phases and all these different things going on in different, walks of businesses. So it'd be foolish not to kind of take that advice because it's like, man, we had the same issue in a whole other industry and we built a process this way and we've done all these different things. Like this isn't anything new to you guys.
Right. And technology is moving quick, as we talked about earlier, in IoT and connected devices. That's one of those that it's here. It's here now. It's going to be coming more and more, on us in the pool business. And we need to ramp up. The whole train needs to ramp up and understand it and learn it. We need to teach it, stay ahead of it. And that's our dedication to our pool business for 2020 and beyond, is to make sure that we've got the tools to teach the trade what they're going to need for this new next generation of connected devices.
And you have to know technology. Technology, like you said, is not going anywhere. If it does go anywhere, we're in big trouble because we're going to be in a place where people don't care about pools anymore. They can't afford pools because most businesses in the whole entire world are based around internet, technology. And if that goes away, big problems. Better learn how to drive a tractor. And
We'll be here to help.
Yeah.
We're here to help for sure.
And I think you got to just look at the consumer, the homeowner. You see what they're doing in their home. It's only going to expand out to the backyard.
that's it.
So that's what their expectation. It's all about the experience, and that is the key. So let's not lose that opportunity.
And how many homes do you go to? Everybody's got the Nest. They have,
Yeah,
Samsung smart things where
Alexas.
everything is all these different devices. Yeah, the Alexa. There's all these different things. Like if you get the opportunity, which we did every time, to walk through their house and you see all this,
Yeah.
slam dunk right there. I'm dunking on the kids' hoop
Oh, yeah.
on the way out.
My kids are 7 and 3 years old, and everything is Alexa.
Yeah.
Alexa, play this song.
Yeah.
Alexa, turn the TV on. Alexa, do it. I'm like, man, he doesn't even know how to say Alexa right, but it works. He's like Alexa, and it, and it comes on, and you're like, oh man, when you get to the age of buying a house, man, it's gonna be insane.
I have friends now who no longer use their spa spider remote in the spa. They have an Alexa out there and they say, Alexa, turn my heater up to 100 degrees.
Yeah.
And they don't even use, an interface or a switch in the spa anymore. So they're
pretty
using
cool.
that technology today.
But, we're even trying to keep up with, countries like China,
Yeah.
which are light years almost ahead of us. I mean, they don't use debit cards anymore. They don't use cash. They don't do anything. They're just scanning everything on their phone. Everything is face recognition. Like there's not even the way that they get, gourmet food is much quicker. You know what I mean? It's like all these, different things that they're introducing is pretty crazy when you look at that. And it's like, wow, is that the direction we're headed in? And it's, yeah, we are. That's exactly where we're headed.
I mean, I'm curious, we always talk about that the industry is kind of like 5 years behind a lot of other industries. Are you, as a company, taking that into consideration? And has that been something, a struggle?
Yeah, we spent a lifetime working in the trade, and there's a tremendous amount of successful independent business owners in all aspects of the pool trade, a tremendous amount of successful. And it's up to us, if new technologies that they're just not aware of yet, it's up to us to be on that cutting edge to get those people. And there's always, on a new technology, there's always a kind of a learning curve. There's the early adopters and adapters, and they're the first ones to grasp like variable speed technology. And you might do a class of 20 people, and maybe 3 or 4 get it and are running with it. And then they tend to teach some others around them. And then the next time we do a class, there's 3 or 4 more, and then 3 or 4 more. So it's repetitive. It's constant. It's learning for us how to teach it better, how to simplify our products better so that they're easier to install. So it's a great challenge, but it's an even better opportunity for us. And we're in a wonderful position to kind of lead that. And I'm actually looking forward to the new technologies, because there's things that we can do for the trade. And every time my joke is, every time I sit on a bucket in a backyard and teach somebody some new technology and they get it, I've taught them to fish the rest of their lives. So
sure,
it's kind of a good challenge.
The other thing I would say, and Steve touched on it, it's awareness. I mean, you talk about new products coming out. If you talk about things that you see with Apple, Nest, Ring, everyone's aware when that product's coming. We have to do a better job of letting everyone know, from a marketing standpoint, all the products that when they're coming, when they become available, and so that the masses can be prepared for it. Because I think that's the other part, is the awareness and making sure that it hits the market on time is the other aspect.
I think the way that professionals could connect with that better is, I would like to hear it, whereas they are similar. It's like we have a new filter coming out. They're similar in these ways, so you can feel comfortable and confident in that, but we're going to show you where it differs. And that's what it is. That would make me, that's why I like Apple products so much, is because I like that it's slick. It's pretty much going to always look the same. There's just going to be some very small adjustments, like a better camera, retina, larger screen, like very little things like that. And I think that can be applied to the pool industry. Whereas I want to know, like, hey, it is the same, but it's better in this way. Mm-hmm. And what can you do with that? You can sell it this way. And it's like, hey, we have a new filter that came out and it filters down to a finer micron,
Right.
And that would be most helpful, because sometimes we look at new products and, man, we think that there's some companies that are just a little bit too reckless, because it's like not too much different, but they like fully rebranded it. Mm-hmm. It's like a different color. It's doing all kinds of things. We're like, what? I don't even want to mess with that. Can I just keep installing the old one? Because I don't even know what this is. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, it's really the same thing. It's just kind of rebranded. It's like, you guys don't make backpacks. Right. Like, you can't just like totally redo it. It's the same thing. Like, when we see that, it kind of scares us a little bit, because we're like, dude, like, what's going on? What kind of components are in this? I got to learn to like replumb this. I got to relearn how to, do the electrical on this. Like, what am I looking at here? But if it's like, it's the way you'd normally install it, it's all pretty much the same, kind of looks the same. It's just a little bit different in this way.
Yep. Great advice.
Yeah. I also think, I've taken a lot of automation classes with Pentair and other people, and I've talked with our local reps about it a little bit, but, doing it in a way where there's like 3 different stages of beginner, intermediate, and expert classes, to me, would make a huge difference in the people in the field, because I've been to the classes. I've told my reps, I'm not going to another automation class, because you just teach the same thing every time. And that's very difficult for me to get advanced learning but I totally understand from your perspective as a company that you're trying to teach every aspect of mind, in this industry. If somebody's a beginner, you want them to know. Someone's an advanced person, you want that class to kind of, but I think there's a better way of doing that part, where you would teach beginning, and this is how do you install it. This is kind of how you program things. and then more intermediate where you're into like diagnosing problems and kind of seeing, well, these are the most common things that are happening. So like this is how you fix them. And then in advanced where you're installing like UV and ozone and these other aspects of automation. And that, to me, that would make the classes so much better, is where you could break it down. And I've been to several of the Pentair, whatever you called earlier.
Pentair Universities.
Yes. Yeah. I've been to several of those. And that's, to me, it's always kind of like, all right, well, that's the same class because it's the same teacher. And maybe it's not, but that's a perspective I've gotten by doing that class so many times, is that if you break it down.
And I couldn't agree more, because Tyler has always known more about that than myself. And when I had to go to that class, like I didn't feel comfortable being there. I'm like, dude, I want to be around people like myself, like the people that wouldn't go to a 101 automation, because there's too many. There's like beginners, there's people in the middle, and then there's the experts all in one room learning this stuff. I don't want to ask any questions. I think some people are much better at, putting their pride aside like that, but it's kind of human, to do those things. And especially my part in our business was always the marketing part. I did the social media, the website, I did all that stuff. So I was really in there. It wasn't because I was actually going in the field to install this equipment. It was because I needed a deep understanding of how to market these products and how to be in those backyards and understand like how to explain this stuff to the customers. And also we really needed to know, most importantly, because we are educating our team on how to set this for the pool turns green, how to set it for 23, 24 hours. How are we going to, go transition from, summer at, running 12 hours, 24 hours a day to, only needs to be running at 6 to 8 hours or whatever it may be. Because the faster they understand that stuff, like it just boom, boom. It just, you don't have to go out there and do it yourself.
Well, it's great advice. We'll take that into consideration and look at some of our classes and scale them that way.
Yeah, we had to bring it up because we know people are listening. Like, cool, like
awesome.
They put it out there.
Also, the classes could be on a weekend, which I know is difficult. Tony, that's the biggest complaint from the pool companies is that they can't get their guys and get the training during the week. So that's a big one. And then if you did that, you'd make a lot of people happy.
Thank you for all of that. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we think it would. You guys are always doing awesome things. So,
but we also understand like you guys are a huge company. We try to think like, how the hell would you even manage? You're in like 50 countries here in the U.S. I mean, building and all the companies that you've acquired in building like products, being innovative, and the education that goes with it. And it's just, it's an insane amount to handle and manage.
I actually love being part of this business. And the reason is I think we do a really good job. Pentair may be a big company, but when we're in our local markets, I truly think and hope we still feel like a small company. And it doesn't matter, how many countries we're in. What's more important is where we are in your zip code. We kind of empower our local people and our local reps and our local service managers to work one-on-one with the customers and be the voice of the customers and be the voice of Pentair. I'm really proud of that because we have really great people in the field who keep it local, and they fight for the customer every day to make sure that your experience is a good experience with Pentair.
Yeah, it's a huge one. It was that changed our business, was going to a place where Pentair came out and helped us and actually install automation and teach us how to do it. Like that changed the whole business for us. So it's really cool that you guys get that close. And
we had a wonderful representative, Tish
and Jason.
And Jason Hall would, come out in the field, quite a few times, and just so knowledgeable, so patient, until we really got these things figured out and we were able to go out on our own and felt confident selling and installing. But you are totally right. It did feel like not like a small company like ours, but it felt like a company that we could communicate with and have a relationship with, not just some super corporate type company that it's like, no, you just buy it and that's it. Whatever you find online is what you get. You ain't going to talk to nobody. That definitely wasn't the case.
That was key for us.
Yeah. And I know that group does a great job, but that wouldn't be uncommon to hear across the U.S. Every region, every group is really focused on satisfying the needs of their customer. It goes back to that intimacy that we've had for years. That's who we are. And that will not change in our DNA. And I think if we continue to do that, we'll always be successful.
Right.
Let's move on a little bit more. So Where's Pentair at today, and kind of what's your mission and focus, on now and going forward?
So if you look at our focus, specifically Pentair, we're here to provide sustainable, safe water solutions for the consumer. And then as you move into the pool business, we're here to really support our dealers to touch our consumers for a successful experience in the backyard.
Since we've started with Pool Chasers, we've spoken with a lot of pool builders and designers. Something they have all mentioned is that having realistic, detailed 3D renderings to show their clients is a game changer. Something that makes the rendering come to life is including products and accessories that your clients can purchase from you. One manufacturer that makes this particularly easy is Ledge Lounger. By going to ledgeloungers.com/CAD, you can instantly download a 3D file for any product in their catalog. Everything from their signature chase to their new patio furniture, cabanas, games is all available to drop into your 3D designs. We've seen these renderings pop up on Instagram full of in-pool and outdoor furniture, and you can't help but stop and look. If you want to transform your 3D renderings, whether you use CAD, Pool Studio, SketchUp, or any other platform, you can get the product files you need at ledgeloungers.com/CAD. That's ledgeloungers.com/CAD. CAD. So what products do you offer to the swimming pool industry today, and how's it evolved over time?
Yes, we offer the complete line of pumps, filters, heaters, automation, cleaners, lights, color lighting.
For those that don't really
Rainbow.
kind of maybe don't know the names, can you just mention a couple of the brand names?
Sure.
Like what they're called?
Sure. They're all Pentair now, but they were once, like the models
Like
themselves.
the IntelliFlow.
The IntelliFlow pump, the WhisperFlow, the Challenger, the Maxi Pro. On the filters, we've got the Mod Media, the Stay Right. Then we've got the Clean and Clear Plus, the FNS Plus, the Tritons, the Tagless. On the filter lines, heaters, we got the Master Temp, the Maxi Therm. We introduced the ETI, which is high efficiency heater with titanium heat exchanger, which is absolutely phenomenal. It's changed the way we look at heating and heating solutions. We've introduced the Ultra Temp hybrid heat pump, which is not just a heat pump and not just a gas heater, but a combination of both, almost kind of a Prius, if you will, of heat pumps. And so you can have one unit on a job site, and let's say you have heat pump capabilities or inexpensive electricity. You can have the heat pump, add trickle heat to the pool, and then hit a button and it kicks over to the high efficiency section of the gas heater to heat the spa. Mm-hmm. So a solution that no one's ever had before. So we've got that. We've got Ultra Temp heat pump line. On the lighting, we have kind of the American products, the Amber lights, up to the IntelliBright LEDs and color LEDs. We've introduced the Glow Bright, which are a low voltage solution. And then past couple of years, we had to come up with a solution of all the fiber optics, the old fiber optics that were installed thousands and thousands across the United States. And there's no replacement for those. And as they've dropped over time, so we've developed and introduced the MicroBright. And the MicroBright is a small LED light, fits in the standard wall fitting that all fiber optic manufacturers used to use. So you can pull out the fiber optic and slip in the MicroBright. And we've got a great new solution for any servicing person out there who has fiber optics in the pool that can sell them new lighting solutions.
Yeah, that's a really cool one. That's difficult to solve. So it's cool you guys solved that one.
And we've got a nice little a tool for the service trade. It's a laminated little tool that if they just pull out one wall fitting of the fiber optic, they can reach over from the deck and slip it in there to see if the MicroBright will actually fit in the wall fitting. So we got some tools that they just contact us locally, and we'll get them the tools that they need for some solutions.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then on automation, we've got automation completely covered. We start with really small automation solutions all the way up to Easy Touch with Salt, IntelliTouch, now IntelliCenter, kind of all that's Wi-Fi enabled. And then we're really proud that we kicked off the IntelliConnect about a year ago, and that is really to address there's millions of pools out there that have an old time clock, single speed
one pump, one filter.
One pump, one filter. It's the best pool they've ever had in those backyards, but it's one pump, one filter, and they got to send the child over there to open up that time clock and stick his finger in there and flick on that voltage. So we have the IntelliConnect, which is a Wi-Fi based solution. Just take the power off the time clock, disable the time clock. And what's great about it, it's got relays in it, so it'll adapt and apply to any single speed pump out there. You don't have to have a variable speed pump to communicate. We've got a relay in there that you can have your light and your single speed pump. And now your controller is in the palm of your hands through your smart device. Mm-hmm. So it's a Wi-Fi connected. So now those millions of homeowners who used to go around the backyard and stick their finger in the time clock, or the next generation who are buying pools, and I've had friends say to me, isn't there a solution better than a time clock? Well, now we have the IntelliConnect. And it's a really inexpensive kind of entry level into Wi-Fi for the service trade. Where we see that is, that's a great example. If we can teach the service trade to sell Wi-Fi to their homeowner in a solution based on their kind of old technology of a time clock, they can get in that backyard and talk to the homeowners about maybe putting a variable speed pump in there, maybe adding colored lights, maybe adding more solutions, a salt system, because that IntelliConnect has the capability to function all that and put all that onto the homeowner's touchscreen.
Yeah, we were really excited when the IntelliConnect came out, but we got out back in December. But man, we were ready to kind of hit the town with that thing, because
we installed like one of them and we were like, oh, this is awesome, and then we stopped doing it.
There was so many times when that yellow intermatic time clock was there and needed to get it replaced, and we're like, dude, this is the perfect setup, because it's a basic residential filter, one light and pump. Didn't really want to spend the money for the full-on automation, but it's like, dude, this is perfect for you. You can afford this, can hook it up to your phone, and it has pretty much all the same features. This was made for you. Yeah. So it was really we didn't get to see that happen, but we think that that's a huge opportunity for a lot of people out there.
We got a lot of our buddies and stuff that are installing them and are really good things too.
Yeah, awesome.
Great. And I think it's you got to also think about the longer term play. It's a small entry point in price, but we know, as Steve said, lots of opportunities for future revenue and interactions with your customer at that point. So if you're willing to do that, you're going to just open your door, get your foot in the door for something that's going to allow you to have additional benefits in the future.
Of course. When I was doing social media, Harley Davidson, Scottsdale, I always talked about somebody comes in here and never ridden a bike before, get them on the Sportster. It's like, the Sportster, that's the cheapest bike on the floor. It's like, no, man, get them on the Sportster, and then you get them on the Road King.
They'll be back.
Then you get them on the Softail.
Right.
And then that's going to be too slow. Then you get them on the, Ultra Glide. You get them on all these different bikes. And they're like, I get it.
Yeah.
And they're like, and if you sell them that sporty and they have a good experience, that's your customer for life.
Yeah, right. You betcha.
So it's kind of the same. It's like, well, I'm going to remodel my pool. It's going to be twice as big. And now there's going to be a spa. Oh, we're going to have to upgrade automation. Like, you bet we are. Because I've already had a good experience with this little guy over here, but we need to kind of advance this.
Yeah. And IntelliConnect is, again, it's a Wi-Fi enabled. So that's back to that teaching connectivity to the trade. IntelliCenter, it's easy to grasp. Electricians can install it. Starter people can program it. IntelliConnect is more down at the individual backyard level. Yeah. And it's a great opportunity for us.
I was going to say, it's all about those apps, like an app that's extremely intuitive, like an app that you would use in your home for your security system or anything like that, I think is going to do well. I think when you make something a little too techie, something that might have been introduced in the early 2000s is going to be really difficult, because if you show a homeowner an app like they would see from, some of their smart devices in the house, like, oh yeah, I know how to use that. Like, I've never used it, but I can tell this is just like, everything else.
Yeah. The expectation in the backyard is no different than the expectation in the home. Right. So when you put an app out, it has to be a good, delightful user experience. And if not, then you're going to have some challenges. And if you do, but then you got to be willing to make adjustments. And that's the area where we are. We've gotten feedback, and there are things that we continue to improve on those type of experiences.
Oh yeah, you guys changed your app completely, and I liked that, man.
Dude, you guys' apps are badass.
Yeah, it was a little rough for a little bit, and then you guys listened and changed it, and it was awesome. So
we're gonna make them even better.
I'm sure you are. I've seen some cool stuff. Yeah. So what kind of cleaners do you guys do?
We've got suction pressure and robotics. So we have the Prowler line on robotics. On the pressure, we purchased Letro years ago, so we have a full line of the Legend Platinum, and then we've got some that we developed, like the Racer LS. And then on suction cleaners, Rebel, Dorado, Great White, Creepy Crawly, kind of a whole line of suction cleaners, so kind of the full gamut of cleaners. And robotics is one that you don't see in your market much. It's been kind of in the Midwest, Northeast type of cleaner, but it's absolutely making its way in the future down to the Sun Belt.
I think those are the future.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they can make those wireless, hoseless, so that, maybe even create, some kind of video game that goes on this TV right here for your kids to play and clean the pool, and it gets out of the pool and docks itself. Like, kind of something just insane like that. But somebody be like, that's too crazy. But like, show a kid that your pool will be cleaning it
all the time.
every single week. I guarantee it.
That's on a lot of drawing boards.
I know, I saw it when I was walking. I was just kidding.
So, like with us being here in Minnesota, and obviously I'm a huge Twins fan, as people know, and Vikings fan, but you guys have done the water on the Twins Stadium. Can you guys talk about that and what's involved with that?
Yeah, we partnered with the Twins, and what they wanted to do was make sure they had a green stadium. So we put in a water reclamation system where we actually capture the water and actually reuse it in the stadium. We capture about 2 million gallons per year. And that water is actually used to kind of wash down the seats and the areas within the stadium for cleanliness. So it's reusing the water that's actually hitting the stadium. So an opportunity for us to really show how to use and not create waste. So really excited. And that's been in place for several years. And you see us continue to partner not only in that space, but we provided drinking water to the stadium also. And the Twins encourage for you to bring your water canisters to allow you to refill versus using bottled water.
Oh, wow. That is really cool.
What was part of that process? Like, how did that come about? Do you know, like how those conversations for that stadium kind of?
Well, one being a Minnesota company who's involved in water, I'm sure there was a bidding process that allowed us to kind of connect with the Twins in the stadium. And that allowed us to really show what we had available, a lot of our products, and have the discussion. And it started with their desire to be a green stadium. So engaging with them, and you kind of work through a partnership there. Once you do that, you talk about what the possibilities are. So once that was developed, and then we got it in place, and you're seeing great success and a very happy customer.
All right. And the Viking Stadium too, I saw like you guys had that big lighting cool thing in the roof. I saw that the other day too.
That and also providing drinking water there also.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's cool.
A big part of Pentair's other water businesses is drinking solutions, filtered water for whether it's your home solution or big industrial or coffee places and things like that. A lot of breweries where they have to filter, where you got to maintain specific taste of water, whether it's for coffee or for beer. And for other...
That's huge for the microbreweries.
Huge for the microbreweries. So that's a whole different... That's part of the other Pentair businesses when it comes to sustainability and water filtration and water movement and water experience. So that's what kind of all of Pentair is about. And
I want to see a Pentair beer. I want to see my rep bring me a 6-pack.
Yeah, sample.
Pentair beer.
But as you can see, it's all about the experience, including the coffee you drink, the beer you drink, the water you swim in. All of it is making sure that we're providing wonderful, smart, safe solutions.
And it feels good, especially working with a responsible company. I think that's why companies like Patagonia have done so well, because they, started that way in the beginning, was doing things responsible and trying to recycle different pieces of clothing to not waste, like invest good money into products. It might be twice as much money, but it's going to last forever. And if anything does go wrong with it, send it back and they'll patch it up, sew it up, whatever. And I just think that that's super cool of any company to be that responsible, because it is that's a huge risk financially and a lot of other ways. But just seeing how you guys partnered up with the Twin Stadium, that's a really cool thing to do.
Great to see them doing well this year too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
About time, huh?
Yeah.
You guys want to touch base on anything else with the pool professionals?
We're really proud of what we're doing now. When you talked about education a lot, that's been a big theme here today. And we've invested a lot in TechSmart, which are, iPad-based solutions for the folks in the field, whether doing installations or repair, where they can actually walk through steps of, for instance, on a heater repair, and it'll take them down directly to the part that they need, so they can go to local distributors and actually get the part number for the fix. So we have TechSmart solutions. We've got a lot of other education things on iPads, which iPad Pro and Pool IQ, and a lot of tools that are mobile for the service trade and for the dealers and the installers to make sure that they understand the products in the backyard. We got Pentair Universities, and I know you've probably been to some of our smaller Pentair Universities, but what we've also done is we've done some mega universities where we've been a 2 or 3 day event at a large hotel. Casinos are actually a pretty good venue because you get a lot of people stay, and we get 400 people who'll spend, quite often it's over the weekends, and we'll get it at a casino where there's a large stage and everyone comes together, and kind of a whole classroom setting where you get to pick the agenda from the classes. So it's a little bit of kind of a college type format. That's been a phenomenal success for us. And it's a way that we can bring all the people together in one room and talk about kind of high level sales capabilities and things like that, and then spin off to some smaller classrooms based on the agendas of the day. And so that's something that we're really ramping up.
That sounds awesome.
It's been terrific.
How long have you guys been doing that?
About 2 years ago we started, and we've done some in Southern California, the Northeast, the Midwest, and kind of certain parts around the United States, and we're ramping that up even further. Kind of worked out the logistics of it, and we have it down to a really, really wonderful kind of destination spot for the trade. And that's been really helpful for us.
When's the next one? Do you guys know?
I could get you the information. We can use that. It's already scheduled and all that, and we'll get you the information. You can post on the link. That's at the podcast.
Yeah, and it should be picking up as we kind of get out of season.
Right.
You'll see a lot more of that last half of the year and first of the new year.
I'd encourage all of your listeners to sign up on our Pentair Incentive Program, and it's something where you can get points on everything you buy. And we've also added a parts segment to that, a parts bonus for the people who might not buy install a lot of equipment, but they do a lot of parts. So you get incentives now on parts. So we're constantly revamping our whole kind of soup to nuts support for all the segments of the trade, and then give you the tools that you need to feel confident selling our products in the backyard.
Right.
Very cool.
So, we always ask, if anybody ever has any recommendations, for podcasts and books. So do you guys have any, books or podcasts that you would recommend to the listeners?
Books, definitely. There's a book, Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. I love that book, and it's one that, to me, kind of what I pride myself on, making sure that everyone who works for me or reports to me is successful. And I think that applies to our business also. If we're eating last, putting our service professionals first, our dealers and everyone who's in the market, making a living, building and servicing pools, then we as a business will be successful also. And it creates trust in an environment where people will always come back to you because they know you have a heart for them, not just for what they do for you. And I think that is extremely important. That's what I love about that book. And I learned a lot in the way that you want to lead people and show them a vision of where you want to go. And they will follow based on their knowledge that they trust you and know that you have their best interest at heart.
It's a good one. Definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, please do. I think anyone who is a leader or a manager, I recommend that book, and one that you will get something out of.
Right.
Yeah.
Simon Sinek is incredible.
Yeah. Always enjoy reading and listening to his books. As far as podcasts, of course, you guys, but I love sports, and I get into Pardon the Interruption and the debates on that, and I think I really enjoy some of those. So those are just fun, because anytime you're in a business, it's always good to get some time where you kind of get a chance to kind of check out and get to something that you're not doing and dealing with every day.
Yeah, super important to get that little break.
Yeah, make note of that. So I'm just curious, what are your sports teams for baseball and football? I mean, you got Twins and Vikings out here.
So it's interesting. I am not from Minnesota. I'm actually from the Carolinas, so I'm a Carolina guy. I do like the Panthers, but, everywhere I move, I do try to get local. So I support the Vikings, and excited about the Twins, because in the Carolinas, you didn't grow up with a lot of baseball. So it's nice to be in a city that supports the baseball teams, football,
But
basketball.
you guys have the best though, man. Tar Heels, yeah, Jordan.
Well, I'm a Duke fan, so that
Oh,
yeah.
no.
So my wife's Carolina, so I'm in a house that's divided. So yeah. And when you grow up in the Carolinas, it's one or the other.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I ended up at ABC or anybody but Carolina.
Not wearing that baby blue.
No, don't do that. Yeah.
And I live in San Diego, so the Padres look like they've got a future coming up here in the next couple of years. They've got a good young group. Hope they could hold it together. And since it's NFL season and San Diego no longer has an NFL team,
Yeah, that's a bummer.
I don't know who to root for anymore. So
There's all kinds of
I
crazy
still
stuff
got to support the
going
Chargers.
Yeah.
yeah, I support the players,
Yeah, there you go.
not so much the management.
on. And I just drove by that new Raiders stadium in
Las
Vegas.
Yeah.
And that thing is just
That's gonna rock.
oh my goodness.
Well, it's right
That
there,
thing is a beast.
right near the strip there. Yeah, it's gonna.
It's like right on the freeway. It's
Yeah.
pretty crazy. You're like driving and you're just looking at that thing.
Oh yeah, we're on Industrial, that side street
Yeah.
right now. I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness, that is insane. It's crazy just looking at like what people, humankind are capable of doing. I mean, these cranes and people just on the side of this thing, and just like, wow, we can do this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Well, you guys just went through that here with the Viking Stadium.
Viking Stadium.
And
I-
Twins.
I don't know if you've had a chance to get in that
I
stadium.
did. I went on
It's
Sunday.
Awesome.
Oh, man, it's awesome.
It's awesome.
Viking Stadium.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've never been around fans like Minnesota fans. I mean, when you go to those games, even in baseball, I'm like they're not boring. I don't,
No.
The Diamondbacks are pretty boring sometimes, because a lot of Arizona is like transplanted,
Yeah.
so there's not a lot of like loyal fans. So when you go to the games, it's kind of like mixture of, like, especially when we go to like Dodgers games a lot. He's a Dodgers fan. Like there's like more Dodgers fans.
There's
than,
more Dodger fans
yeah,
there
than there are
Diamondbacks.
yeah, there are.
So, like,
San Diego.
yeah, it's like when you come here, man. Like that whole stadium was purple. Man.
Yeah.
Vikings purple. It was crazy.
It's amazing, the city.
cool.
It's a place where people don't leave. It's probably, I've heard recruiters say a very difficult place to get people to come. But once they come, they don't leave. And I'm an example of that. I moved here 4 years ago, and my kids, my wife, we love it. And it's a place that we're going to stay for a while.
It's cool.
That's really cool.
What about you, Steve? You got books or?
You know what? I do a lot of traveling, so I have books I pick up and put down all the time, and so a lot of Vince Flynn, Stephen Hunter is some characters that they have, so a lot of kind of fiction of things like that. I listen to a little bit of Ask the Masters on some of the pool stuff, and then church I go to has what they call a daily dose. It's a 5-minute little podcast they send out every morning. I don't know how they do it every day, and kind of listen to that, and it's great to kind of get audio.
Yeah, those little like 5-10 minute podcasts are really cool. Just little snippets of, inspiration, and they can usually say quite a bit in that 5 minutes, because it's not so much a conversation like this. It's just exactly what you need to know, like quick,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Those were some really good recommendations there. For our listeners that want to reach out or find more information, where can they find you guys?
Well, a couple of things. One, they go to pentair.com. We have a whole bunch of links which we'll provide here at your podcast. Absolutely contact their local representatives. We're readily available. We'll do anything for the customers to get you the information you need.
Can't say that enough. That's so important.
Yeah, and that's case in all, across the gamut here. So
Yeah, and we'll make sure to put in the show notes how to actually even, reach out to your local rep, because it's been a few times where it's like, you say that, word or wide, there's nothing on a website, there's nothing there. And I'm not saying with you guys, but just people we've had in the past. So go through the show notes. We want to make it very clear that, depending on what state you're in, maybe what country you're in, this is where you're going to go to find the best, point of contact for a representative.
you bet. If somebody in the field doesn't know their local contact, they can call the local distributor, because they absolutely have a list of, local, usually cell phone numbers. And so we'll jump all over. We love working with our customers.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. It's important, so thank you.
It was great talking with you.
Yeah,
Thanks
really
so much for your
enjoyed it.
support.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for checking out this episode. If you want to find out more about our guests or the sponsors of the show, you can check them out on the links we have provided in the write-up below. We have also provided links to our social media platforms, so please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Our tag is Pool Chasers. If the podcast has brought you any value, please do what you can to support us through our Patreon page by going to patreon.com/poolchasers. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast to be updated each time a new episode is released. One last thing. If you're not yet in our Facebook group, join it today to be surrounded by like-minded individuals who are all trying to better the industry. Thank you all for the support. We appreciate your time and your ear.
See you out there, pool chasers.